Hey everyone, this is Nate and this is the Native Tater channel. All right, today I'm going to cover a standard routine maintenance, technically Schedule A maintenance on this generator. Now this is a Honeywell generator, but it's the same thing as the Generac generator. So really just a white label name. Now I bought it from Costco and I bought it in 2024. It's exactly 2 years old. I've had no problems with it at all, but and I had to do no maintenance on it because now the schedule's every 2 years. It used to be every 1 year. So I'm just going to show you what I do for the standard annual maintenance. It saves you a lot of money versus calling a certified dealer to come and do this. It's really not that hard. I bought the official Generac kit online just because it makes things easier. I'll put a link to that down below in the video description. It does include like a sticker. It tells you how to do some of the stuff here, but it also tells you to refer to your manual for a lot of things. It has a paper funnel, which I'll talk about in a minute. I'll definitely not use that. And then you get an air filter that goes in the unit. I get the Generac branded oil filter, which is part number 070185E. So that is the official part number for this unit. And then it does come with 2 spark plugs as well that you can change out. My comment on the spark plugs is every 2 years, if it just is doing the weekly maintenance crank up, is far from needed. This has ran definitely the weekly crank up, but then it's had like a couple hours of actual, standby generator power. We've not had a lot of outages out there, so it's pretty light usage. But let me just open it up and walk you through what I do to set this up. The only thing I'll mention is I do add a couple things to that kit. Now you can buy some of the kits that come with the containers of oil, but I typically have a jug of 5W30 synthetic sitting around, so I'm just going to use, it's about 2 quarts that it uses. So I'm going to use that. Now, 5W30 synthetic, I think by the owner's manual, basically covers the whole range of the U.S. climate. But of course, look at your manual and you can confirm what weight oil that you need. So the only other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have this long funnel. I think it makes it easier to pour it in. I got some of my nitrile gloves just to keep my hands a little bit cleaner, and then brake clean and extra napkins. That's all you should need from a supply standpoint. Of course, you're going to need the tools to wrenches and stuff. I'll show that in a little bit to actually get access to this stuff. All right, so what's nice here is the drain does not need any tools. It just has a little thumb screw on it, so you can hold it up here where it's zip tied onto the side. Take off that cap without it leaking, and then just turn it down to here. Now you can see mine's a bit milky there because of that moisture, but I'm just holding there. It is a slow process. There's not a whole lot of a downslope here for it to drain, so I just got to be a little bit patient while it does that. So while I do that, I'm going to grab the spark plug here. I'm just going to show you how you can gap it. Now, the gap is obviously in the middle there between that little circle part and the bent over little hook, and that is where it does the spark. So almost all Generac generators is going to be a 0.04 inch gap. I have this little tool here that has these different gaps on it. So I can grab that 40 number there and I can slide it in, and it is about the right one. But more common on these newer systems or newer tools is you might see something like this, which has just a ramp on it. So you can start on the skinny part and then work your way up. And again, mine is almost right at that 0.40 gap. So they basically come gapped from the factories from what I see, but obviously check it because they could get bounced around or bent in shipping or not done right. So that is something you do want to do before you put them in. Okay, so while that still takes a long time to drain, I'm going to go ahead and do the spark plugs. We'll pop these off. In fact, you could do this at this first step because that's going to prevent it from starting up if it were to try to start up for any reason. Now I pulled the spark, or the not spark plug, the fuse up here as well, which I think kills it from being able to do it. They tell you to like remove the battery cable, but that seems a little bit overkill to me. So I'm going to take this is just standard 5/8 spark plug wrench and get it into here. And then I'll say I need an extension. Can't get it in there, so I'm going to grab an extension and do that. All right, now I got my extension, so now I can actually get access to this here. And we can just take out this spark plug and see what it looks like. All right, so here we go, taking this guy out. And there is nothing wrong with this. It looks perfectly fine. So I would never actually replace these typically, but they give you an extra set, so like why not go ahead and replace them. But I typically would say there's nothing wrong with these. They can last for many more years than this. All right, so this one is back here. underneath the bracket again. The bracket kind of blocks my ratchet from fitting. So I'm going to try this adapter here that has a little swivel end on it and see if that's going to give me enough room to get access to it. It's going to be tight. Got it. So that works, and then once I get it loose, then of course it's easier to get out, but that is not ideal design. Now, I suppose you could take these brackets off. These brackets look like they are the engine hooks to pick up the engine, so they probably use it for installation and they just don't take off the brackets. But you could get away with taking these off. That looks like all they do is give it a lifting point to pick up the engine. All right, there we go. Definitely kind of a pain to get out, but again, this spark plug looks perfectly fine to me without an issue, but because we have the free one, might as well go ahead and put it in. Again, this one's already gapped good, so we don't have a problem with that. Reach back in here. You want to make sure you don't cross thread these things, of course. This little twisty ratchet thing actually comes in handy in this kind of space because I can rotate the handle for this light, easy turning and not have to bang the whole ratchet around. Alright, so that one's in. Again, we have the spark plug still off, so it won't start up, and hopefully the oil has been done by now. Alright, so the oil is mostly out by now, which is good. So we can pick this back up. We can wipe it off, might as well. Keep it a little bit cleaner. Put our top back on, and this can go up and out of the way now. Alright, so now we're going to do the oil filter, and that's where this guy comes in handy. This is flexible. You can bend it and hold its shape. I think it's got some aluminum on the inside of it to kind of catch the shape that you want to hold. And then we're still a little bit short, but this is what we're going to do here. Alright, so I'm going to see if I can manhandle this with my hand. Looks like I can. I don't need the wrench. So we'll just do this. And I'll keep this flexible catch underneath it, so it's going to catch all this oil and not let it go in the bottom of the generator itself. There we go. So that is definitely a nice lifesaver. Keeps it a much cleaner setup here. Okay, so here's our new oil filter. I'm going to take a little bit of this used oil and just put it on the actual brim. That just lubes it up a little bit and helps keep it from tearing or ripping that rubber seal. And typically, from what I've seen, the labeling is going to be up on the outside, and that's basically indicated that you've tightened it enough, and you'll feel it, of course, too. But it's typically, I think, like what, 3/4 of a turn or something after it touches is roughly the guidance. Just make sure your funnel's clean if you're using your own funnel, not the disposable plastic one. I'm going to shove it in there. And I'm going to grab my oil, and again, it's 2 quarts is basically what it is. So since I don't have a 2-quart containers, I'll have to be a little cautious and make sure I don't overfill it here. So I'll have to guesstimate and then check the dipstick. Okay, we'll pull this dipstick out and see what we got now. It takes it a minute to actually drain down in there, so I don't expect anything right at first, but we'll give it a minute and we'll check it. Okay, so we can see on this jug here that I'm about at 3, so I should be pretty close. I'm going to go a little bit more. Looks like I have a little bit on the dipstick left to go. Alright, it's a little hard to tell, but I am there at the full mark, so I am good. It's very clean oil, so it's hard to see on the line there, but that means we are good to go there. So now the last thing to do is just the air filter. So before I do that, we put this cap back on, so that's all covered. So now our oil is all closed back up, cap's on, that's clean. Let's do the air filter. So that just lifts up there. Let's see. I'm going to hit on the back side. Nope, looks like it slides back and lifts up, and I'll probably slide this off. Yeah, okay. That's pretty easy task there. So now the air filter itself gets picked up and comes out. Doesn't look very dirty, but again, the point of these is that when you need this thing to kick on, you want it to be reliable and not have any problems. So that's the point of course, having this maintenance done to it to make sure that you are always ready for whatever Mother Nature or other circumstances drive on you. Just make sure when you press this down, that little hook from the backside go in. Looks like that's a little bit of a thing to keep an eye on. Put that on there, the clamp, and that is good to go. So now I am ready to put my spark plugs back on. Make sure they clip or click on there. You can kind of hear them and feel them. Click. Okay, I'm taking my tools off of here so I don't have anything rattling around. They give you a sticker here, so one thing I'm going to take it, I'm going to put that on here, and pretty simple. I'm just going to stick it down here, and then I'm going to write it with a pen later, so I have a record of when I did it. But the app also has a record, so that's the nice thing about the app, is that it keeps track of all your maintenances, and that's a handy thing to have, so that you know when's the last time you did stuff. Let me just go around clean this up a little bit. Of course, it's a good time to make sure that you don't have any wasp nests, mouse nests, or anything else back here tucked away in the corner. That'll be something you want to deal with and get cleaned up while you have it all out and open. Okay, I'm gonna put my little fuse back in here, and then I can make sure I get oil, all that stuff good. Can hit manual start and have it crank back up. Okay, easy peasy. That's all there is to it. Took probably about half hour, and that was even with me grabbing, a couple of tools that I didn't quite realize on this one. The first time I did it on this one, I had an older one that I did as well. So yeah, it's pretty easy to do, pretty affordable. I'll have links to all the products down below in the video description. And then of course, if you have any other questions about the unit, what I think about it, how is it working for me, just feel free to put a comment down below, and I'll get to that. You can see back here is the transfer switch. So I have, this wired in to the main entrance from service, and then it can interrupt that if it detects that the power has been lost. It will do the automatic transfer switch here, where it will kick on the generator. About 30 seconds later, it takes over, flips this switch to feed my main breaker with the generator. I can power the entire property with this. I got 4 buildings that this actually powers, including even my EV chargers. And I have the EV chargers on a service disconnect, so that if it's overloaded, it'll disconnect the EV chargers and not charge up the EV vehicles, and keeps the rest of the house and AC and all that kind of stuff on. So even this big 5-ton AC, it starts it right up and runs it for me if I need it. Luckily, I haven't really needed it, but now I have it maintained, and hopefully it'll be ready for the next time the power goes out. All right, so there is one more step. If you still have that yellow light and the alert there, you can't clear it in the app unless you pay for the extra service. So what you do here is you go to the off button, and then you press enter twice. And now I can go back to auto. And now it's ready to run. That cleared the alert that it was ready for the service. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Okay, so that's it. So now what I can do is I can go into the Link app and tell it that I did the service, so that it is complete, and it resets that clock for another 2 years, hopefully.